What's going on, people? Myke C-Town here with another Dead End Hip Hop Solo album review, and today I'm going to talk about the new album from Atmosphere entitled Fishing Blues. So everyone knows that around the album When Life Gives You Lemons, You Paint That Shit Gold, the Atmosphere had a slight sound shift, and the songs were more pulled back. A lot of people thought that Slug had changed the way he rapped in a bit of a detrimental way. And I definitely do feel like there was a sound shift, but it was one that made sense to me. I believe I said on my review for Southsiders that I'm not a person that expects rappers to stay the same throughout their entire career, especially if they're a rapper that puts so much of themselves into their music, such as Slug. A lot of people look at music and they say that they want their favorite musicians to never change. Well, growing up happens, man. Change in attitudes happens. Change in taste happens. So naturally, a change in themes and sound would also happen. But there have been people crying about how they want Atmosphere to return to their old sound. Well, I can say with a bit of certainty that I just don't see that happening. However, I do feel like with Fishing Blues, they've written an album that will appeal a bit more to these throwback enthusiasts, but maybe more than the last couple of albums that they've put out. I sort of knew that they were going to do another slight sound shift due to all the songs that they've been dropping over the past, I want to say, year. And they all sound quite a bit different than what was on Southsiders and Family Sign. One thing I noticed right off the bat was the songs seemed to have a bit more energy. The beats were more energetic. Do not read that as the beats were better, because I liked the beats that were on Southsiders and Family Sign. It's just that these beats had more energy, and Slug as well seems to have a bit more energy here. And I can't say if the beats influenced him or if that's just what came out naturally, but either way, from the first song, I was digging this album. Like a Fire is a great song. When Armageddon come, I turn the stereo up, making love in the back of an American truck. Bust a nut, jump up and hit the air horn button. What? This is classic Slug humor over a dope beat, and it rolled right into one of my favorite songs on the album, and that's Ringo. Versus talking about waking up in a lawn chair still drunk from the previous night, and then talking about how he just wanted to actually enjoy the rest of his day. And a super catchy chorus outlining people's obsessions with celebrities and their fuck-ups. Everybody wanna see a falling star. Everybody wanna see a fall. That song will easily get stuck in your head for the rest of the day. Pure Evil. That was a really dope and deep song. It seems like your run-of-the-mill police brutality song on surface, but you really need to listen to this song. It's told from the perspective of a brutal police officer, but not just a simple, I'm a cop and I'm gonna beat you because I can, but some of the lyrics really give hints at the type of situations that we're living in today. I was told to tell a one-sided story, so say a prayer because this one's gone to heaven. Innocence is a submissive position. It's a one-sided story. Read it to your children. It's basically outlining how some, not all, but some police officers are trained and instructed to have their story together, after a violent encounter with a civilian. A story that to the media paints them with this light that the officer is just doing his job and protecting himself, but also a story that to the average person says going against the police will always end up with you losing in the end. And it's a one-sided story. Read it to your children. Tell your children that the only way to survive a police encounter is to be completely submissive and obey every single order that the officer gives you. Slug is telling you to make sure that you let your children know that this will lessen the chances of them not returning home safe and alive after an encounter with a police officer. This is a dope song. But it was the song after this that was actually my favorite song on the album, and that's Perfect. Basically, as the song title suggests, it's a song about not being perfect, about being a hypocrite, about being human. The first line pretty much sums up the entire point of this song. Fall from the sky just to learn how to fly. We all make mistakes to learn to be better people, but the point is, sometimes constantly making these mistakes is what makes us better people, especially when we're able to identify the mistakes that we're making. But I think a deeper pull away from this song is how being one-dimensional is not only dull and boring, but it's also pretty much impossible. We're naturally multi-dimensional, and that's clear in this line, which is easily one of my favorites from the album, where he says, I'm a feminist, I'm also a misogynist, spit like an arsonist, dick like an obelisk, and I promise if you ever hear me contradict myself, it's not a sign of the apocalypse. Basically, again, we're human, and as much as we try, our brains tend to function on multiple levels. And one of contradictory patterns is completely natural and shouldn't be looked at as a problem. I love the throwback to one of my favorite Atmosphere songs, Happy Mess, that fell at the end of the song where he says, I'm not perfect, but I'm this, that, and this, which is the hook from Happy Mess. But I also love the line where he says, I've been an asshole before it was fashionable, and when it's out of style, I'll be the last to know. Shit like that is so real. And speaking of real, we gotta talk about Next to You. This is a song about coming home drunk as hell late at night and wanting to get busy with your girl, but she's knocked out, passed out. So he lays next to her and he tries to bang one off, but he's even too drunk to accomplish that. And this is a hilarious and super real song, a song that embodies what I love about Slug. Like, who else would write a song about that? I gotta admit, it is a little bit awkward to listen to. I've said a bunch of times that I'm uncomfortable listening to songs that have samples of the rapper having sex, but this shit is so real, and it's something that's not common at all to hear in a rap song, that it totally works, and it's so fucking funny every time I hear it. Won't Look Back is another standout track that just sounds so good, and it's a true testament to Ant's diversity as a producer, man. The laid back beat with the catchy guitar sample that's so subtly used, but it adds so much character to the song, and the hook by Kim Manning, who admittedly I'm not familiar with, but it adds a lot of soul and emotion to this song. I can't think of any songs on here that I didn't actually like, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't disappointed by a few things. The feature choices were really interesting. A lot of voices that I wanted to hear on this album, but one song that threw me off was When the Lights Go Out. It was a great, dark, and menacing beat. It had a great verse from Slug, fantastic verse from MF Doom, but only a chorus and some odd yapping at the end from Kool Keith, and I was really interested to see what Kool Keith would do rap-wise over this beat. But it didn't happen. And the same with Chasing New York, which is a dope song which features Aesop Rock, but he only did an outro. And again, with the title track, Fishing Blues, we have Grouch on the track, but only on the hook. But let me add really quick that Grouch sounded so fucking good over this beat that, damn it, I wish he'd rapped. But I understand that this is an Atmosphere album. It's not an Atmosphere and Friends album, so I totally understand it being filled with primarily words from Slug. But just from a nerdy rap standpoint, I kind of wanted some verses from these other guys. I'd also be lying if I said that I didn't think the album could be a little bit shorter, and I'm definitely not saying that it's filled with filler, but it's just that there are a couple songs on here with the themes, and maybe even the beats were a little bit similar, but the album still only clocks in at an hour. But if you're one of those people that likes their albums to be kind of quick and short and concise and straight to the point, then you may have a few complaints. But if you're one of those people who just wants to hear a whole lot of Slug and a whole lot of dope beats, then like me, you'll be perfectly happy. The production on this album is some of the best beats I've heard from Ant in the past few albums. They all have his signature sound with that great mixture of 90s boom bap with jazzy elements and even some welcomed addition of live instrumentation that, in my opinion, fits so well with these beats. And Slug went from being that older buddy that's always talking to you and relating to you about the problems that you're having as an adolescent, young adult, to now being that cool-ass father figure that's telling you about how life works and how life can be, but he's still cool enough to do it in a language that the younger kids can relate to. Granted, this isn't the best Atmosphere album that they've put out, far from it, but it's a great fucking Atmosphere album, man. It shows that these two still have great chemistry. Ant is still able to make emotional, passionate beats, and Slug is still able to follow that up with words that touch the hearts and the ideas of the common man. And I love the whole idea of fishing blues, casting your line out there and trying to see what catches. Sometimes you get a big, I don't know fishing terms because I'm fucking vegan, but a 20 pounder, I think is what they say. So sometimes you throw your line out there and you get a fucking 20 pounder, and then sometimes, like in the cartoons, you get an old dirty boot. But it's all part of the game. It's all part of the process, man. Every 20 pounder matters, man. Every boot matters because they both make up the person that you inevitably become. So if you're out there living life, you'll get the fishing blues whether you like it or not, or whether you even know it or not. But I think this album is fucking great. I loved every minute of it. Please let me know what you think. as usual, thank you for living, thank you for loving, thank you for being you, and I'll see you guys next time. Alright? Peace, bitches!